Hi there, this is Ben Bentler from the Nifty Knitter. Recently we have released a really beautiful new kit. It's a leather journal that allows you to kind of stitch in the stitches to make it look like a knitted journal. And it comes together as a kit that looks like this. What this video is about is how to actually stitch it together so that way you can have your journal put together at the end after you're done stitching the cover. So to start with, I'm going to open up here to show you what's inside. Inside here, we have quite a few different things. I have a few extra things in this particular one because I already started knitting on it. The first thing you're going to notice is you have two flaps that look like this. One is for the left and one is for the right. So I'll turn these upside down. Oh, sorry. Here we go. So this is for the left and the right. This is going to be what we're going to stitch today to show you how that works. Next is the bigger piece, and you can see I already started stitching it, so there's some stitches already in here. You can see right in here. These are the stitches I'm using. I'm using a yarn that's actually a fingering weight yarn, which leads me to talk about what size of yarn to use for this particular project. Really, you can use a fingering weight yarn, and you could do it single, but it's going to look a little thin. I would double that up. Otherwise, a DK or even better, a worsted works great. It doesn't matter what kind of breed or type it is. This journal is particularly nice if you have something where you have like leftover yarn from a loved one that's maybe passed, that you want to have something special to hold on to. It's a really unique gift that you can give either to yourself or to someone you love. But you'll see right now, there's not much to it. There's no place to hold the journal. All it has are all these holes up front, which is where we stitch the stitches for the knitted part of the journal. And then you'll notice there's some stitches along one side here and along the other, and this is where we're actually going to sew the pieces together. This is actually one of my favorite parts of this project. Other pieces that you're going to need, tools that you're going to need that did not come with it, are going to be a pair of scissors, a lighter, and you're also going to need some tapestry needles, so that way you can stitch the front of the cover. When we're stitching, you'll see right here, we actually, when we stitch in, we stitch first here on the left, into the center, hole, back down through, and then on the right, back down into the center hole. When you take a look here, you'll see these stitches look like little tiny knitted stitches. But you'll notice when I start for this next row here, I'm actually going to go through the hole I've already went through once, so it continues to look like a knitted stitch. If I skip a hole, it won't quite fit right. You can use any design or pattern you want for this, but let me show you here. Let me go up to the next one. I'll show you again. On the left side, down to the V in the center, like a knitted stitch. There's half the stitch. And then again, here. And again, down through the hole in the center. And you can do up all the way through this whole pattern. Oops. There we go. So once you've done knitting the cover, and I'm going to skip this part for now because it would take me too long to do it, you can take the yarn and just like you would do in a knitted piece, you can kind of thread it through the back to kind of hold the yarn in place. I'm not going to do that right now because I actually want to keep this yarn ready so I can finish this journal. So I'm going to just let go of my needle here. These are just some chibi needles I got at the shop. Tapestry needles of any kind, as long as they're big enough to hold the yarn you're doing. But let's look at the part that a lot of people don't quite know how to do. The first thing is we need to find top and bottom. So if you look on the back side of your journal, you're going to see a Nifty Knitter logo, or if you had something uniquely crafted for you, that's going to be down the bottom, ready to be able to be stitched in. So we want these flaps here to line up. One goes on this side and one will go on this side. And we want these little holes to be towards the bottom so you can put your pens in there. if you take a look, these holes will line up perfectly with the holes already in the journal itself. So what you're going to notice about this kit is it comes with several other items. In your little yarn ball here, you're going to see a couple of harness needles. So here's 1 and 2. You'll need both of those for this project. It'll come with some thread from the main thread company. Just undo the little clasp here that it came with. And then you're also going to notice it has this, and this is actually a burnisher. Once we're done and these have sewn together, you can take this and burnish the edges with it. Just run it across with a little bit of friction over and over and over again, and it'll make the edges nice and smooth and shiny. In the meantime, let's go ahead and work on sewing this together. So you'll find a knot in here, just cut the knot out. Okay. Now we're gonna take about, let me show here, I don't wanna get this too, of this, let's see here, we'll do about 2 arms lengths. I apologize, I give you quite a bit of thread, and it looks like this is going to become a tangled mess. I apologize for that. 1 and 2. And we're going to cut that. So now we have a nice long strand of thread, and there'll be plenty of thread left over in case you need more. But here's what we've got right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one end through the needle here, using our harness needle. We're going to pull about 6 inches through or so. And then you're going to take the needle end, and if you look carefully, we're going to open up this thread and actually split the thread using the needle. And you'll see I've split right through, you can see that, the thread. So we're going to pull that through, and then you just pull on this, and now we have the needle attached on one end. Now we're going to take the other end and do the same thing again. We'll grab the other needle here. Again, we'll thread it through the hole of the needle, about 6 to 8 inches through here. All right, and then we're going to take the needle itself and go towards the edge of the thread here. And there we go. Get that, pull that through, and there it is. And you can see now these are attached. So if you take a look, I've got a needle on one side and a needle on the other. So they're both threaded through with a needle. Now what we'll do is we'll take our 2 pieces here, our journal flaps. And if you look here, I'm going to count the holes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 4th hole, I'm going to go ahead and pull through there. And then again on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. And pull through there. And we're going to split the thread about halfway. So here we are. And get them aligned up so they're about halfway even amount. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch it, and we're going to go all the way to the edge. To stitch, all we do is we take the needle that is on this side of the journal, push it through the 3rd hole, and make sure it lines up with the other 3rd hole. Pretty soon this won't matter because it'll be sewn together. And we pull it through to that side. There's our first stitch on that side. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to take this, thread it through, and pull it through the other side. Just like that. And there's our first stitch. And we pull it nice and tight. And then we continue on to the next. Second one, through on this side, pull it through, and the other. I'm gonna go through, pull it through as well. And then pull them nice and tight. And then finally the last hole on the very edge, pull it through. Same on the other side, go to the last hole, pull it through, and then pull them nice and tight. Now, what I will tell you is, we've now created the first 3 stitches, but we went backwards, and we did this to give it extra strength. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start moving our way all the way around to the very other side. So this will take a minute. So we just continue through by going through the second hole, creating a double stitch on this side and the other side, going through the second hole, also making a double stitch on that side. And when we are done, it means the ends will be extra sturdy. So there's no chance that the yarn or the thread will break. So we'll go ahead and go all the way around, and we'll check back in a second, and I'll show you how the rest of it goes. All right, so let's take a look here. We've gotten down all the way to the very end. So as we look here, we're about, again, 4 from the end. We're just gonna finish up as we've been doing before. Go through the hole, through here, switch to the other needle, go here. Okay, continuing on, next, second to the end, pull through, and then again, go through. One of the things that you want to kind of try not to do is to knit into, or stitch into the actual thread. You want to see if you can avoid doing that as you go through the holes. Here we go, final stitch. There we are, on one end, switch to the other needle, go through on that end, and then give it a nice little tug. And then just like at the beginning, we're gonna stitch backwards back to the 4th hole again. So we'll go over, back to the 2nd hole. So now that's double stitched on that side. And again, go through the 2nd hole. So now that will be double stitched on that side. These get a little trickier because there's more thread going through it, obviously. All right, there we go. And again, we'll go through the 3rd hole. There we go. And then this side, we'll go through the 3rd hole. There we go. There we are. And then finally, the 4th hole on this side. And one more time on this side as well. Now, once we've done this, you can do 2 options here. The option I almost always choose is I'll trim this down, and then I will use my lighter here to burn it so it doesn't actually, can't get through the hole ever again. You can also tie a knot if you'd rather, but we're gonna go ahead and try this. So we're gonna leave about an 1/8 inch or so on that side right here, just a very little tiny bit. And then we're gonna do the same on this side. We're gonna cut it down. And since this is waxed, it won't light on fire, it'll actually melt into itself. So we're gonna light this up. And you'll see right here, barely you can see it, it's nice finished edge right there. There we go. We'll do the same on this side. All the way down there. Perfect. A nice finished edge. Okay. So you can see we have 1 flap ready now to be able to put your Moleskine journal in. And now we would just do the other side over here and do exactly the same thing. Again, just to remind yourself, these always are going to be on the bottom. So you want to make sure that those go in the right spot or they won't hold your pens correctly. And once this one's been put into place, I will warn you, you won't be able to do any more stitch work on the back side here. So while you can do this one as your first step to creating your journal, you absolutely want to get all of the stitches done for the front of the knitted part of the journal first. And once you're done with doing that, then you can finally finish it off with the last piece. And then your journal will nicely fit into here. Your pens will nicely fit into here. And then you can take your edger here. And what we do is we just use these little crevices here. You look down here and we just burn. You just kind of rub back and forth. And all it does is it creates a nice finished edge on this. And the fun part about having a real leather journal, more than anything else, is as you use it, it gets more beautiful. It starts to crease, it starts to get more worn in, it's more flexible. So these will just keep getting more and more beautiful with time. One other thing, it's good for you to possibly also grab what I call saddle soap. It's a little yellow tin. You can get little tiny on Amazon, and you can just rub that into the leather, at least on the back, on the inside, to keep it still very supple and keep it in good condition. Otherwise, it'll take care of you for many, many, many years. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, feel free to leave us a message at theniftyKnitterShop@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks again.